You're listening to the Scaling Wellness Podcast, the podcast dedicated to sharing the what, why, and how of scaling your wellness practice, as well as sharing inspiring stories of how others did it themselves. I'm your host, DJ Turner, author, agency owner, houseplant lover, and your go-to guy for scaling your wellness practice. If you're looking for tips on how to grow your team, book more clients, and get out of the day-to-day in your practice, you've come to the right place. Now sit back, relax, and let's get into the episode. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Wellness Podcast. Today's episode is a rebroadcast, pulling one out from the vault. This was recorded back in, I think, 2016, originally by a gentleman, Robert Norberciak. We get into this. This was back when my business was primarily focused on marketing. And one of the things that he did, he and his wife, they had bought a spa, completely turned it around, and grew it to a multi-six-figure business before eventually selling it and actually leaving the United States, his partner being from Europe, and had a chance to actually also meet him when we were both living in Europe at the same time. So this is a really cool episode. I'm not going to redo the intro too much because that's already recorded, but enjoy this episode from the vault. All right, guys, here I have another bonus interview. I'm super excited about this one. So this is with Robert Norberciak, a really cool guy. If you've never heard of him before, you're in the Facebook group Massage Entrepreneurs. You should check out some of his posts. You can also find some things he's done online. But let me tell you a little bit about him. So he had a day spa in Scottsdale, Arizona, which when he took over, it was making about $5,000 a month. And he grew in 3 years up to $75,000 a month before he sold it. On top of that, in 1 year, he was able to sell about $58,000 in gift cards. And he's got some amazing advice on how to get Groupon clients, how to rebook discount clients, what it takes to grow, what it takes to have an experience in your spa, and some amazing experience from just running a spa in general, what you can do. He's since sold the spa and now lives in Spain, but he's joining us here today to kind of tell us his experience of running a successful spa business.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Daryl.
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of, I've got that little bio, so to speak, but just in your own words, can you kind of just walk us through your experience with Mosaic?
Sure. I'm going to actually take a step back because, we're going to talk about Groupon a little bit later on. And my whole life, actually, I got into business-to-business sales and I was selling in a startup that actually was very similar, almost identical to Groupon. And that's actually how I got to know day spas. I get to work with a lot of them before I even owned my own, doing a lot of marketing for them. And in about 2012, my wife and I actually both got laid off 72 hours apart. So we went from having both middle management jobs. I was a city sales manager. She was an assisted living manager. I got laid off on Thursday. She got laid off on Monday. And I was kind of like, oh my God, this is like the biggest life-changing event in our life. And so we decided at that point that we're never going to work for anybody. And over the next 6 months to a year, we kind of try to figure out what we're going to do and what kind of business we're going to start up. And sometime in March 2014, we actually decided that we were going to purchase a day spa. She wanted to become an esthetician, and I was confident in my marketing abilities because I've worked with these day spas for 4 years prior that I could turn around this day spa. And so we found a day spa that was about ready to close its door. It had 3 appointments scheduled. The only reason it had any money coming in was it had a loyal product following. So people that would come to the store and buy products. And so, but the owners were bleeding dry. They were spending money where they shouldn't have been spending money. It's a one esthetician spa and they have a manager. They have a front desk person. They're spending $1,500 on marketing where, it's not even producing any results. So of course they were bleeding dry. And so when we took over in March 2014, first thing we did was, of course, cut down all the budgets to make sure that, hey, we got to break even first. And then what came from there was the next 3 years, we grew from a 2-room spa to a 10-room spa. May 2017, we did $75,000 in revenue in that single month. I think we did like 650 appointments. I think Mother's Day weekend, we did 150 of those. It was absolutely insane what happened that weekend. And then came a moment where my wife and I decided that we want to be in Europe, and we put the business for sale and sold it in December of 2017. And here we are talking today.
Yeah, that's an amazing story, an amazing journey. So I guess trying to find the best place to start, Let's kind of start at that beginning part with Mosaic. So the first thing was definitely cut down the cost, make sure you're hitting break even. And then from there, you already had some marketing background, but what were those? I don't know, let's say the first, you guys grew really fast over 3 years. So like, let's say like the first 90 days or so from a marketing point of view, or if it's more than marketing, what were some of the things that you started to do that,
Yeah.
see that uptick?
Absolutely. So, this business when we took over had 11 years of history. So, when we walked in, there was, there's boxes and boxes of customers with paperwork. They had a little bit of a CRM and things like that. So, when you have a business that at one point was a successful, thriving business, because obviously for 11 years it had to have done something right. The owners before us just unfortunately let it slip. I thought was the best thing at that time, which is the very first thing is go use what we have. So I pulled up our records. I started noticing that customers who used to spend $5,000-$10,000 a year all of a sudden stopped coming. So I would call the best customers up and say, and I'm just going to use random names. Hey, Steve, I noticed you used to come to Mosaic all the time and you haven't been in 9 months. What happened? And they would tell me the stories. They would tell me, you guys stopped carrying my favorite products, or when you did carry my products, it was hard to shop, or the hours were inconsistent because you guys were closing down. And I'm like, well, hey, I'm the new owner. I'm here to make things right. Please come by the store. I'm going to get you 20% off on your next product order. A lot of the customers were buying product at the time. And so my first 90-day goal was basically is to get some kind of traction going with existing customers. That's where all your money was already sitting there. It's just proving to them that you're going to be a good business again. The second thing we did was we were an aesthetic only business when we took over. For 11 years, the business only did aesthetics, and aesthetics and massage are quite similar. So changing over an aesthetic room to a massage room happens all the time. So we went ahead and filed for a massage license. In order to boost the massage business, though, I knew I needed customers fast. And that's where my history with Groupon came in. I used to sell Groupon. I used to consult Groupon-like products. I used to consult with a lot of businesses. And so the very first thing we did was, as soon as we got our license, was put up a Groupon. And I think we sold approximately 1,000 vouchers over the next year, plus or minus, something like that. So that was the next phase. And then we got into Google AdWords shortly, I think around like the 120-day mark, 150-day mark.
Okay, yeah. So let's look at Groupon. With Groupon, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings towards it about using it and how much you should use it. So I guess the first question I want to ask is, what was the offer or offers that you did? And then what was your strategy with Groupon?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the key things with the Groupon is, and it's slightly changed in the last, it's been now 4 years since I put my Groupon up, so about 3 years. When we were doing it, they were mandating absolutely 50% bare minimum and 60-40 splits. So in order to increase the value of the voucher, one of the things that we did was actually do a value add. So we added something to the package that cost nothing to increase the package value so we could get a higher price. Our original massages were at $70. They wanted $35. So I did a $10 value add of saying prenatals are included, put the prenatal pricing at $80, which allowed us to sell at $39. So we got a few extra bucks there. That was the original deal. We did $39 for a 60-minute massage, prenatal Swedish or deep tissue. And then we put in a couple caveats right off the bat. Inside the restrictions, we put in an upsell right away. So upgrade your 60-minute massage on site for $20 extra. So people could read it. They knew right away. A lot of people took us up on that offer. We also put new clients only, and we did a limit of 1 per person, 1 per guest. And it's very important you make sure you nail your restrictions, because all too often, like you said, businesses just get caught up in the Groupon and they rely on it. And the key for a Groupon is to kickstart your business. You should never use a Groupon if your business is booming and thriving and you're turning away customers because of a Groupon. But if you've got an empty room and an empty table and there's not people filling up, we're in the business of selling time. And once that time disappears, you're never selling it again. So I'd rather make $1 or $2 up front, or even break even lose $1 or $2. But if I get a new customer in the door, then at least I have a shot at retaining them. And it's one of the things that I always drove me nuts when I was doing consulting is in sales in this industry is a lot of times people automatically assume a Groupon customer to be a thrifty customer. And quite oftentimes it's not. It's, you have to understand that a Groupon customer has to have the disposable income to prepay for a service that they may or may not use. that alone tells you that they have disposable income. $40 for a massage, they're prepaying for something. They don't know the quality. So if you give them an award-winning quality service, you can easily increase how much they're spending. If they can prepay for something at $40 without knowing that they're going to use it, then obviously if you give them the experience they deserve, they're going to want to pay more. They're going to want to keep coming back.
Yeah, I really like that. So let's look into the rebooking portion of it. So obviously part of it is just giving an award-winning experience. But I think this is something that a lot of therapists just struggle with. I mean, part of it is saying, yes, if you're using Groupon, the goal is not to make all the money from the Groupon. It is getting people to come back. But a lot of people struggle with getting them to come back. So what are the steps that you were taking to make sure that as many people as possible were coming back after they used the Groupon?
Absolutely. One of the things is you have to look at how easy it is for people to buy from Groupon. It's easy to jump back onto the site. So your experience has to be easier than that. One great story that I always used when I want to give a comparison. There was a gas leak in Arizona where we all of a sudden lost all of our gas. This was around 2006, 2007. And this is going to tie back in, so you'll see in a second. Gas went from $1.30 overnight to $4, and people were outraged that it was too expensive and they weren't going to do it, and they were boycotting, and it was a huge ordeal. Anybody that was in Arizona knows what happened. But if you take what happens over the next 6 years, gas slowly increased up to $4 a gallon anyways. People were complaining, but they were still paying. And that's the biggest difference is I think a lot of times what happens with Groupon customers is, and massage therapists is they take the $40. They think that the first time they're going to discount it, that they're automatically going to sell the person up to $80. And that's a huge jump. So my strategy was always first push for the 80, but then always have a backup plan. Because sometimes it is too big of a jump. You're taking somebody from $40 to an $80 per hour is a very drastic jump. And so when you say, do you want to rebook? Asking them for that $80 hour massage right off the bat, you may get pushback, and you have to be prepared for it because it is such a big jump. So that's when you have a secondary offer. Hey, you know what? I noticed that you came in on this Groupon. If you rebook today, it's actually, I can give you a second time offer, and it's only going to be $50 for the massage. And the reason why is, you're not sharing this profit anymore with Groupon. That's directly your revenue. Two, you're creating habit out of the customer. They're getting used to rebooking. They're getting used to coming back to your place. There's a old marketing rule that if you get somebody to come 3 times, more than likely they're going to become your customer for life. And so you want to keep working towards that 30, the third visit. So sometimes you have to create secondary offers that are going to entice the person to rebook on the spot, because that's the best time. And that's, I think, the biggest part of retention is right at the end of the massage. Hey, how was your massage today, Daryl? Did you enjoy it? I noticed you used that Groupon today. Did you want to go ahead and reschedule your next massage? I know your massage therapist, Susie, told me that you should come back in 3 to 4 weeks. Did you want 3 weeks or 4 weeks? And that's exactly what we would do. So we would ask that. If we got the pushback, then we would say, well, I did notice you were on the group. If you rebook today, I'll get you in at $50 for your next massage. How does that sound? Did you want the 3 weeks or the 4 weeks? And if you still don't get the appointment, which it does happen, it's important that you add them to your marketing cycle. So your email lists, any phone follow-ups, postcard follow-ups. We would do thank you cards. It's important to not automatically put a label on the person, because the second you put a label on that person that they were a Groupon, or going back to that award-winning experience, you're going to treat them differently. And the second you start treating them differently, that's when your retention gets hit. But if you follow through everything and you follow through a process, then retention becomes easy.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I seriously think for all the students, anyone who's watching this, understanding that there's still value in someone, even if they get pushed back, someone that you might consider, we say like a dead lead. I can definitely think there's times where if you check in with someone, maybe they came on a Groupon a year ago or something. If you keep them in your marketing list, all it takes is the right timing for you to get in front of them with a free message. Like, hey, I noticed it's been a while. Would you like to come in? I'm having this deal. And there's more revenue that you haven't had to share with someone else. And I feel like a lot of massage therapists don't see the lifetime value of one of their clients. And it gets really focused on that front end of, what did I get today? Oh, they didn't rebook. okay, this person is gone forever.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my best clients came in from a Groupon, and they would schedule a 90-minute massage every 10 days. That's a 90-minute massage 36 times out of the year. You take the average ticket value, and I'm just going to throw a number out there at, $75 a pop. You're looking at a customer that's going to spend almost $7,000 before tips, before gift cards, before products, before anything else. This business is a numbers game, and that's the most important thing. It's the more people you have in your database, the more people you talk to, the more people know about you, the more people that they talk about you. There came a moment in Mosaic, and it felt amazing that when I felt it, it's like all of a sudden it's like, hey, how'd you hear about us? It's like some receptionist at some hotel referred us. And I'm like, I don't know any receptionists. Like all of a sudden you get that momentum, and it becomes in itself viral. But you need people talking about you. You need people in your place, and you need people doing it. At the end of the day, isn't it better to make $5 off of an hour than lose your rent, lose your electricity for that time, don't make any money, because those are hard costs. You're paying for them no matter what. So if you're not putting somebody in that room at that time, you're not just losing that money, but you're also losing any potential money that customer can bring in the future.
Yeah, most definitely. Speaking of just numbers, I know we've talked before about some of the things that you were doing in Mosaic that were pretty simple, but not everyone's doing. So, I want to talk about, what are those things that you think are necessary? And the, I guess, side question of what are some numbers that you are tracking? Everyone can easily know their prices and their overall revenue, but are there any other numbers that you look at that you think are important?
Yeah, so there's a couple big numbers. The first big number that I always paid attention was how many new clients are we getting a month. That's the livelihood of the future of the business. And being a salesperson, it was kind of always ingrained into me. It's not what you do today. Your results of your effort are actually going to show up in 30 to 60 days. You're cold calling, and this is a little sidebar with like sales, but you're cold calling, you're emailing. You don't close these deals until 30 to 60 days. So if you don't do it today, you're going to feel in 30 to 60 days. And it's the same thing in the spa business. What your efforts are today, what your new clients, they're going to directly impact next month, following month. And if all of a sudden you stop marketing this month and all of a sudden that new client number drops, you might be fine that month and you might not see it because all your existing retention clients come in, but you will feel that lack of new clients maybe in 2 months or 3 months. And then you're sitting there wondering, what happened to my business? It was growing so great. And then you can look back and go, oh, wait a minute. I had 2 months where I had no new clients. That was a big number for me. The other big number that I always looked at was a hidden silent killer. And I like to call that the hidden silent killers. How many appointments are you actually turning away? When it comes to growing your business, there comes moments where you are firing on all cylinders. You're looking and like, my marketing is right. I'm getting calls. Why is my revenue not going up? And there comes a moment in business where your demand finally exceeds what your supply is. What I mean by this is if you're a single entrepreneur, massage entrepreneur, you may only work 25 hours a week. And for a year or 2 years, you may only be selling 10 to 15. There comes a moment where all of a sudden you are selling all 25 and there's nothing you can do. And you're sitting there wondering, why is my revenue not going up? Why am I not making more money? And it's because you're turning away appointments. And it means that your demand has finally exceeded supply. And if you're a single entrepreneur, that means it's finally time to start raising your prices because you're underpricing yourself. And if you're a multiple location place, it means that you're understaffed. If you're fully staffed, then it means you're again undercharging. So that number really dictates what you need to do with your business. If you've got a lot of openings and you're not turning away appointments, it means you need more marketing. But if you're doing enough marketing and you're turning away appointments, it means you're either not charging enough or you don't have enough availability. One of those two things. And that was actually one of the biggest numbers I discovered is finding out how many appointments I was turning away. And that really helped me catapult that business.
Now, with that number, is there anything that you recommend to anchor it to? Is it like relative to, so if you're a single therapist, you only have so many hours that you can do in a week or a month, however you want to look at it. Is it like this percent of total hours, if you're turning this many away, then prices definitely need to go up? Is there anything that you would recommend?
So I can only tell the story on what I've actually experienced. I'm not a massage therapist. I'm an entrepreneur. And so the way I discovered this number was I was having a discussion with like a business coach and he's like, well, how many appointments are you turning away? And I had no idea. So for the next week, 2 weeks, I had my front desk on a whiteboard. I'm talking old school, pen and paper, nothing really fancy. And it was a tally board. Every time you told a client that I cannot take you at the time you want, you put a tally on the board. Because a lot of times you don't even feel like you might tell somebody, oh yeah, I can get you in 2 weeks. Well, at that moment, you fit them in, but you still turned away the appointment that they wanted. And that means that your demand is more than you actually think it is. And so I came back and I looked at this whiteboard in 2 weeks. And I was actually, after the first week, I already knew I had a problem. But the second week, by the time I came in the second week, I was turning away 3 to 4 appointments a day during the week. And when it came Saturday, I turned away 12 massages. 12 massages is over $1,000 in revenue. And I'm just sitting there like, $1,000. I literally could have booked $1,000 more on this Saturday if I just had the therapist. And it wasn't a room issue. I had other rooms. When it comes to a single entrepreneur, massage entrepreneur, or a single therapist, I think it's important to understand, if you're turning away 1 a week, 2 a week, obviously, if you're in season or out of season, that might not impact your business too much. But if every single day you're turning away 1 or 2 clients, then at that point, you're definitely underpriced and you either need to increase more supply, which means work more hours or hire somebody else, or just increase the price to offset it. And a lot of times you get scared to do that because you're like, well, what if people are going to cancel? You have to remember that for every price increase, you can actually afford to lose some clients, still make more money, and be more profitable per session doing what you were doing. But at the same time, if you're turning away 1 or 2 appointments a day, and that means telling them that you have to book them a week out or 2 weeks out, that's turning away an appointment. Those people are going to pay more because they want to get in. So you already have a supply that somebody, even if 50%, if you turn away 2 appointments a day, even if half of them agree, you lose one person, you plug it back in with somebody more profitable. And now you're not more profitable, you're way more profitable. So you have to use your gut instincts. A lot of times what you can do is test the waters. I would do this all the time with new clients. I would play around with pricing with new clients. I would drastically increase prices to see how much my new clients would bear, just to see how much I can actually increase. If I would do a promotion instead of 119, I would do 139 or 159. And if it wasn't selling at 159, then I knew that that's too much for new clients, and I would pull it back down to 139.
Yeah, that's definitely a great strategy. I know that's something that I do with online products. It's very easy to test that really quickly, but I feel like that's something that makes a lot of sense when you come from pure marketing and sales, but a lot of people just haven't even thought to, why don't you just play around with your pricing and just see what happens? And it also gives you the opportunity. I think it's something people miss out, that especially if you're in a conversation, you always have the opportunity to downsell someone. If you're one-on-one on the phone and you say, hey, it's this. And if I don't know, if it really comes to that, you can say, well, I've got this deal, just make it up. I can get you in for this price. How does that sound?
Absolutely. It's a lot easier. And I know a lot of massage entrepreneurs always say stick to your worth, but at the end of the day, an empty hour, an empty table, that's, you have to think about it this way. If you can do 20 massages a week, there's 52 weeks in the year. That means you have 1,040 hours you can sell. That's your limit. Once that time disappears, you can't sell more. You can't magically create supply for yourself. Once that time disappears, let's say you go 5 weeks and you didn't sell 10 hours, you've lost those 50 hours. You can't just magically add them to the end of the year. You can't magically just show up and say, hey, ta-da. So a lot of times, like you said, it's better to just start with a little bit of higher price. But if you're not filling out the clients you need, then yeah. Oh, hey, why don't you go ahead and book today? I'll get you 20% off. I've talked a lot in the Facebook groups, use discounts to dictate the behavior you need. Don't ever go into it blindly. If you're having problems with rebooking, use a little bit of a discount to entice them. If you're waiting last minute, clients aren't filling up, use a little bit of a promotion to entice them. You're trying to use your discounts to create habits. Once habits are formed, then you can take away the discounts and the habits will still stay there. And that's why it's very important to be flexible sometimes, because you're thinking about the long term of the business, not just today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to reiterate that point because you were saying about earlier, if you get someone in 3 times, you're more than likely going to have them for life, and just saying creating habits. And I think that's the big piece. I think a lot of massage therapists, especially solo therapists, are just missing that if you get someone in, whether it's a deal or not a deal, and they've never had a regular massage, then how can you expect them to automatically want it? If you haven't done something that encourages that habit of coming in every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything should be a process in your business. You should be able to replicate it. Talking about habit, it goes to the therapist as well. You should have processes that you can take any person and drop it in, and they'll have just as much success. Towards the end, we started learning this at Mosaic is there needs to be a way to exactly do it. The way you do an intake, it should be systematic. You should know that during your intake, you should be asking what are your goals for the massage, and then the whole entire time you're working towards this end goal. So you're building a habit for yourself. During your intake, you find out what their goals are, how often do they massage. Then you know better how to retain this person. We found this is just proof in the pudding. So at Mosaic, we had at any point 15 to 20 therapists, and there was a clear line in the sand. It was the therapist who retained and the therapist who didn't retain. And when I studied their behavior, it all came down to one simple thing. The therapist that retained would do one thing, and they would always do this. They would bring the client up to the front desk and would say, "Hey, Amanda, could you please rebook Susie for 3 to 4 weeks from today?" And that was it. Amanda then at the front desk would her life would be easier because now she's talking with the client like, "How was your massage? Did you enjoy it? Was it good? I know she mentioned that you should rebook in 3 or 4 weeks. I've got October 27th or November 5th. And it was a process. So that habit, the therapist, sometimes they didn't even realize they were doing it. It was such a habit for them that they just did it ingrained. It was ingrained in their brain that they would bring the client up. They would tell the front desk what to do. The front desk instantaneously had the confidence to rebook, because if the therapist tells the front desk, "Hey," and even if you're a solo massage therapist, you can still do this. When you go to check out, "Hey, I know during the massage we were talking about working on your calves next time or working on your shoulder next time. Let's go ahead and get you in 2 weeks," right? Because you talked about that during your whole massage. So communication through the massage should lead into effectively a closing argument like a lawyer. You're closing down the person saying, "Hey, we talked about this. This is our goal. This is what we need to do to achieve our goal. Let's go ahead and put it on the books so we make that goal happen." And now all of a sudden it's like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead. Schedule it for 2 weeks out."
We'll be back with this episode in just a moment. But first, let me ask you a question. Does it ever feel like you're stuck on some sort of business treadmill? Despite all the hard work you put in, it feels like you aren't actually going anywhere. And at first, growing your practice and filling it with clients was everything you ever dreamed of. But now, the day-to-day of your business is starting to almost feel like a never-ending nightmare. You know you love your clients, you maybe even built a team, and you can't imagine giving any of it up, yet at the same time, you feel like you just can't seem to escape. If that sounds like you, I want to offer you an alternative. I like to call it Wellness Practice Freedom. It's a place where your practice gives you more than just money. When you get to this point, you're no longer the main engine in the vehicle, and instead, you finally get to act like the driver. And most importantly, you'll be in a place where you can work as little or as much as you'd like, because you know that your practice is built in a way that it can thrive without you. Sound interesting? Then I want to invite you to take the journey to achieving wellness practice freedom. During this call, we'll dive into exactly what freedom looks like for you, the changes that you need to take, and what's going to allow you to step back from your business without worrying about your income or everything falling apart. Ready to get started? Then head over to my calendar at www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Again, that's www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Now, let's get back to the episode. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I want to ask, because I think this transfers really well. I know there's different modalities that people have. And because you were running a spa, I want to make sure I ask for people who aren't really focusing on pain relief. So you were finding that this was working well. Or I guess, were you finding that this was working well when people were coming in with more so the mindset of I'm here to be pampered more so than I'm here to have some work done, so to speak?
Well, and that's where the consultations come in. That's where the time in the room comes in, because you have to be adaptive. The therapists that were adaptive and knew how to adjust their session to the therapist, because we were a spa place. At the same time, a lot of our therapists, they loved working on the body. They were that pain relief. So a lot of the clients, it's kind of, they would be both. They would want a little bit of, structural work, and at the same time, they want to be pampered. It doesn't matter what the client is there for. It's ultimately understanding how to entice them to come back, because everybody, whether it's a couples massage who comes once a year, you can figure out ways to retain them. If it's somebody who's coming in for structural work and they need, massages every 3 weeks, you adjust their plan to that. If you look at a person who comes completely pampered, maybe they don't need to come every 3 weeks for a massage and facial, because that's going to be overkill. But if you entice them for 6 weeks, hey, you know what, Susie, I know we had your signature facial set up today. I know you're glowing from your facial. Let's go ahead and get you set up for 6 weeks from today. Let's go ahead and also get you in front of the massage again. Let's get you in for the package deal again. People want places that they can escape. And even if it is for pampering or pain relief, for them, it's a way to escape their everyday routine. Massage entrepreneurs and therapists all the time will tell you, even in the middle of these pain relief sessions, it's still a lot of psychiatry. They're consulting these people and hearing about all their problems. They develop a bond. You just have to adjust what you're talking about with the client and what your end goal is to what they want. Once you understand what they want out of the session, then everything else becomes easier to do.
Yeah, I definitely love that insight. Really glad to ask that question, because I know that's just something that people want to know about. I guess the mindset's that it's really easy that if someone is there specifically for pain relief, then you can say, okay, I'm going to put you on a program. You're going to do 8 massages with me over the next blank months, and then hopefully we'll be done and we'll do some small maintenance. But just saying, you can do this too, even if someone is viewing your services as a luxury. You can still get someone, entice them to come back. And I like the way that you used it. And it's something that I was actually saying in the last lesson I taught before recording this, is that yes, for some people, it's this structural work, this body work that they need to get better. And then some people, like, this is their escape. For these 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever session you're offering, this is their escape. And selling an escape is completely different than necessarily selling, I guess, a luxury in the way that people enjoy escaping, even if they only get to do it once every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever period of time it is.
Absolutely. That's the thing. You have to just understand what they want. It's just like in sales. As a salesperson, we have to be adaptive. We can't force the exact same thing on every single person, because not everybody's the same. But there's a reason why they're there, and there's a reason why they wanted to come. And if you can unlock the emotional reasoning behind it, and emotion is pain. Pain is an emotion. So the easiest one to spot is the emotional, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, I can't move my shoulder. Could you please do a massage and fix it? The same reason why people go to a chiropractor. But there is an emotional side effect of being able to relax, unwind. You can look at big retreats. These large spas are forming around the US where you pay huge amounts of money to go relax and unwind and de-stress, because stress is a big emotion that people need to get rid of. We're now tied to our social life, is now tied to our business, which is tied back to our life. So people are working nonstop. They're tied to their life nonstop. You might get an email at 11 o'clock at night or a Facebook message at 11 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden, all that stress comes back from your business, because whatever position you're in, it's nonstop. So there's more to just an experience than just the actual pain part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to shift focus a little bit, and I know you've got this really nice Reddit sort of ask me anything about your experience with gift cards. So I just kind of want to hear, how have you been so successful selling gift cards? What was kind of that process like? Where were you marketing? What were you offering? Where do you think people are doing it wrong?
So one of the first things that we did is we built out a website, and this is going to be a little bit more than a lot of people can do, but you can still apply a lot of it. Gift card purchases online. We actually tied each service to a purchasable gift card, because people like buying experiences. So when you think about why people buy gift cards, everybody can go to a Fry's or a Kroger's and pick up a $50 Visa gift card. Everybody hates doing that, but if they run out of ideas, that's what they do. So purchasing $1 gift card for a spa is just the same as buying a Visa gift card. It's a little bit better, but I realized very quickly on when we were doing our AdWords that a lot of people would call up and be like, I saw your promotion. I know it's for today only. Can I buy that as a gift though? And that's when I realized people were buying the experiences as packages, whether it's a massage, whether it's this. So we would actually make every single one of our services purchasable as a gift card online. And for some people it will be too much to do, but even your most best packages, a simple checkout page for that one specific product. The second thing we would do is we would actually kind of kick off a gift card seasonal thing, which is perfect time if you're releasing this in the next 30 days, Black Friday. So I would do a promotion, buy 3, get 1 free, or buy 2, get 1 free, depending on the dollar amounts and things like that. Because what people wanted was stocking stuffers. That's a lot of times what people would do. So great clients of mine would come in and be like, yeah, I would love to get 5 massages, 10 massages. I'm going to give them out as stocking stuffers. So I did this promotion starting on Black Friday. It happened every year. It was exactly the same way. We would announce somewhere in the middle of November, we would announce what we're doing. Come Black Friday, we would sell thousands of dollars of gift cards. Then from there, we would say on the Cyber Monday, thanks due to the overwhelming response, we're actually going to extend this all the way through Christmas. And that would drive probably about $24,000 that month of gift cards. The other thing is it's gift cards, but also was gifts packages. And I believe that Reddit post had to do with my Mother's Day event. I think it was mentioned in there. When you look at Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, these are also the other 2 big gifting holidays that you have to understand and have to do. So we would actually create packages around the mindset behind this. You can offer gift cards, but once you understand why somebody's buying a gift card, it's a lot easier to sell a gift card or a package as a gift card for that holiday. So if you look at Valentine's Day, you have to think, why would somebody be buying it? Who's buying it? And it's usually going to be a husband or a friend buying it for another girlfriend, right? For them and their husband. But mostly it's going to be men buying it for females. So what type of packages would they like? Well, it has to be romantic. So you could sell a male a package, a 2-hour massage and facial in our couples retreat with Rhodes chocolate covered strawberries at $300, $400, right? That's one of the things you could do because you're understanding what they want. They want to create a romantic package. Now, when you go to Mother's Day, the mindset changes a little bit. It's no longer about romantic. You don't want to sell couples room because nobody's going to come in. I mean, mom and daughters do share sometimes the couples room for a treatment, but you're not packaging it as a couples package. You're packaging it as a retreat, a mom and daughter retreat. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do. So once you get into that mindset, who else might be buying? It's going to be fathers buying it for their wives, kids buying it for their mothers. It might be grandmothers buying it for their daughters, Happy Mother's Day. Now the mindset's a little bit different. That mindset around those packages is about creating a getaway, a mom's day away. So we would actually put in robes. We would create a gift basket with slippers, take home skincare kit, and we make this big gift basket. We sell those as a gift as well because now we understand what's going on in the mindset. And every single time we would actually start promoting these 30, 60 days in advance so people knew that we would have it. People would know that they're coming. And then we would create the very last Mother's Day we ran it. We had a big table. We put in a huge, I think it was like a 6-foot by 8-foot by 4-foot table, like in the middle of the reception. It was like this ginormous thing, and it was covered in gift packages with a big sign, Mother's Day packages. Because if people don't know you're offering it, there's no way they can buy it. You might get some people that walk in and be like, do you have Mother's Day packages? And you're going to be like, yes. But if you have flyers all over the spa, buy your mother a package, you have big gift card baskets, we would do A-frames, we would do balloons. I mean, and you only have three of these times out of the year, effectively. I mean, you may get some on Father's Day, but the reality is you have 3 heavy-hitting holidays. You have Christmas, you have Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. Those are your gift selling days of the year. So 3 times out of the year, you can focus a lot of energy to making sure you push these. The big thing you have to remember about selling gift cards is who hears about this? It's your clients. And what are they doing? They're buying it for somebody else. So that means they're your new client acquisition. They're buying a package to get somebody else in the door. So I like to actually discount these a little bit. I use those discounts because that's money that I'm saving from paying AdWords or paying Groupon or Facebook, because they're doing my new client acquisition for me. So it's not that bad to give away a little bit of a discount to make these packages wildly successful, because people love buying things like, this is a $400 package for $350. Even if the prices are slightly discounted, people love hearing that and they love buying good deals, especially when it's a gift.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's two big things that I want to reiterate for everyone who's like watching and listening. One of them saying that I just lost my quote. One of them, the price. I think it's really important for people to understand it's not so much the price that you have, it's what you're offering if they feel like they're getting a good deal. So people who are watching this are going to be in my course, in my program. I did a case study where I took a $150 spa package. We just rewrote what the true value of the package was. And now instead of just being a $150 package, it's like you're going to get $300 worth of stuff for $150. And people go, holy crap, yes, I want that. So the small discount, whatever it may be, I've seen really successfully people do, like you were saying. So Valentine's Day, you've got a regular massage you always do. Why don't you add a couple roses, some chocolate covered strawberries, a glass or two of wine, which you can upcharge at a premium, which doesn't really cost you that much. And when you write that out on your package and say, hey, this is a $150 package, which only costs you like $25, if that, for the extra stuff, but you're going to get it for $99. People are like, whoa, yeah, that's awesome. I'm definitely getting that as a gift. So that's kind of the first thing I want to highlight, to remind that of people. It's not always about price as much as the value. And the other side saying, I know people don't want to do discounts in terms of new client acquisition, yet everyone knows that referrals tend to be their best source of clients. So there are ways that you can ask for referrals. You can get referrals, people talking about you. You want to have a system for that. But the other thing you're in control of, if you use your Groupon, use a discount deal, whatever, if you put it 100 new people, I mean, that's a lot. Let's say we put 30 new people into your doors over the next 30, 60 days. You now have 30 opportunities, not only for rebooking, but you have 30 new people who, because ideally your services are so great, you've got 30 champions who, even though they may not come back in, they're going to refer you out to people and they're on your list. Exactly. Like the lifetime value, I mean, there's like a ton of equations, like actual equations for lifetime value. But one thing to consider is not how often just you get them back on your table or sell them, but they're going to tell their friends about your services. And now you've reached way more people you only paid that one time for your ads or Groupon or at whatever to get that person. And now they're off telling other people about how amazing you were. And I think people just forget that in terms of an actual.
It's impossible to calculate. Like I said, I said it earlier in our discussion, there came a moment where I realized that I was on the radar. When I took over Mosaic, it was a 2-room spa that only some estheticians knew about. And there came a moment sometime in middle of 2016, maybe end of 2016, early 2017, where all of a sudden I knew my competitors were staring me down. I knew people were talking about me. I knew hotels were referring me. You don't get that kind of traction unless people are talking about you. And if I hadn't done all those Groupons, if I hadn't spent the money on advertising, if I hadn't done some packages and I hadn't delivered a great experience to every single one of them, they probably wouldn't have been talking about me. But because I delivered the same experience for everybody, sooner or later, it becomes natural viralness. And communities, even in a city like Phoenix of 5 million people, where I was in Scottsdale, it was a small world, especially in the beauty world. Everybody knows everybody. It's so amazing. It's like, I can give you like an example, like my stylist, one of her best clients, the daughter used to shop for products at my other location, or at our first location. So it's like, if the daughter hears how great we are, she tells the mother, and then all of a sudden it becomes everything else. And so you're absolutely right. You can't put a price on people talking about you, and you need people talking about you. The more people talk about you, the more traction you're going to get, the more customers you're going to get, the less marketing you need to do. And that's the thing that you can't put a price on.
Absolutely. So I know inside of my program, we're really just talking about, it's mostly Facebook ads, but then we go beyond, we talk about how to create offers and how to understand who you're attracting. But you've had a lot of success with Google AdWords specifically. And I want to make sure that people are watching that they're exposed to other types of marketing. So can you kind of tell us your experience, what AdWords was like, what you were doing that other people weren't doing that you think made it work better for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is going to be another tactic that is going to be a little bit more labor intensive. But at the end of the day, if you took a look at Google and what's happening right now, everything goes back to the mindset. And so I'm going to switch into a Amazon-like scenario so it's a little bit easier to understand. If you go to Google and you type in Red Air Jordans 2018, you're hoping to find the brand new pair of Red Air Jordans. If you see an ad about Red Air Jordans and you click that ad, you want to see, again, that product. You don't want to land on the homepage of Amazon.com and have to find that product. And that's what Google did for e-commerce. Now, for services, nothing like this exists. So when you're doing ads, you have to understand what keywords or search terms, what people are searching for. You have to understand what they want to see. So somebody looking for a spa may want a spa package. Somebody looking for a massage wants a massage. Somebody looking for a couples massage is completely different than a massage. And those are Red Air Jordans, blue Adidas, yellow Reeboks, right? They're three different things. And you have to create specific packages for what people want to see. But that's not where you stop. A lot of businesses will put in Google, their package. They'll say, $119 for a 90-minute massage or whatever they'll put. And as soon as you're like, oh, hey, that's a cool deal, I want to go see it. You click the ad, and then you're taken to a homepage, which is a chiropractic center or a medical spa, and they're showing a hydrofacial. It's like you've lost all of that excitement of the buyer. Like they see the ad, they know that they want it, they click it, and then it's gone. It just disappears. And they're like, oh, I don't want to look for it. Some people will, some people won't. So my strategy was always to continue that experience. They're searching for massages. They see my deal. They like my deal. They click my deal. They see my deal again on my page. And now I make the process easy for them to book. And so when we were doing AdWords, that's exactly what we would do. You have to remember one thing about AdWords, and this is where it gets a little bit harder for solo therapists, is a lot of times when you turn on your AdWords, these are people who are searching for massages. That means they want a massage right now. It's a complete different mindset than a Facebook ad. A lot of times with Facebook ads, people are passively browsing. They see something they like. They want to put it on their schedule maybe a week out or 2 weeks out. Now with Google, you have to think, I'm on my phone, I'm on my laptop, I'm typing in, I want a massage today. That's effectively what's going through their mind. Massage in Scottsdale means I want a massage today, tomorrow, or this weekend. So one of the huge things that we would do is we would make sure that we would drive phone calls. And these phone calls easily turned into bookings because they wanted massages right away. They wanted to talk to somebody, and we were able to get them on the phone. We had a full-time front desk. And even if the front desk didn't answer, the phone calls would always roll over my cell phone because I refused to miss a phone call. And so we would drive them to the site, we would show them the deal, we would get them to call us, and then we would put them on the books. And that was our process. I think out of every 5 clicks, we would get a customer or something to that nature.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's impressive. And I think that's something that my students were going through this. One thing I want to highlight. So I'm teaching Facebook and I'm teaching the mentality, the funnels that you're learning how to build. You guys we're watching it week 3. This is the same funnel you can attach to Google AdWords. And it's this process. And it's the same thing I say that you guys will see. If the ad says, hey, click here for a free puppy, and you click on it, and then it says, welcome to the animal shelter, and you have to figure out where the free puppy is, you're going to lose them completely. And I think that's people like, they've got part of it. They're like, okay, I've got the offer, but in digital marketing, you need continuity from click to click. I think that's a phrase that I loved hearing is like, so yes, you've got the offer that you're going to sell. So it's the context of a Facebook ad or a Google ad or whatever, but you need to sell the click. So they click the ad and then you need to sell the next click. If they have to search for something, they're going to be gone. Or we can talk about like site speeds and that's all extra stuff, but just if they click and the thing they clicked for is not there,
they're going to be frustrated.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that. It's like walking into a department store, asking the front desk person, hey, I saw this flyer, right, with this promotion. Where is this product? And they point a finger back there. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated that nobody walked you over there. And a lot of times it's the exact same thing experience online. If you click the ad, it's like walking into a store. I want this deal. Where is this deal? And but now imagine you walk into a Home Depot, you're holding up your flag and you're like, I want to spend $1,000 on this item. Where is this item? And there's nobody there. You're at the front desk and nobody's there. You're waiting and you're waiting. And that's how a website experience is you have to kind of think about it. Like, you can't help that person find it. You might know exactly where it is. You know exactly, if I click this link, I'll get to that deal. Your customer doesn't know that. He doesn't know, she doesn't know where you've hidden this. So now they have to go find it. It's the same reason why I always tell on websites, always put your number at the very top of the page, because that is the most important way they can contact you. And they don't want to look for it. They might click contact you or about you, and they might try and find it. They're going to get frustrated. They're not going to look for it, and then they're going to disappear. And so that's why I always stress, like, you have to put your number at the top because it has to be in plain sight. And it's the same thing for ads. If it's not in plain sight, it's too easy to click back. Like, this department stores have the advantage that you've already committed. Like, you've already committed to driving there. You've already walked in. You've committed. You have a vested interest in this. With a website, swipe and I'm back out. Like, there's no commitment. There's no vested interest. So if they click your ad and there's no continuity, they just swipe back and they go find the next deal. And that's how I beat businesses, is because I had that continuity and I had that flow and everything worked.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that I love being in the pure marketing, especially online marketing and sales space, because it's something that other businesses know really, really well. And just by being in the know, everyone who's watching this and just understanding that concept, that a lot of, first of all, brick and mortar are missing, and then a lot of massage therapists specifically even are missing, you're instantly ahead of other people by just understanding this process and how that works. When you make a Facebook post or a Google ad and it's got, here's this deal, they click on it and it goes to that deal, you're going to beat people without really having done anything extra. Versus you have to search.
And there's thousands of services you can use. You can use Instapage, ClickFunnels, Unbounce, landingi.com. Yeah. There's all sorts of services. It does take a little bit of work, but nothing comes easy when it comes to business. You have to be willing to do the hard work. And at one point, it will pay off. A lot of people, when they saw my success in the business, they didn't see how much effort I put in the beginning stages. I remember telling this story, and I still tell it to this day. I was the front desk for the first 2 years of Mosaic. Since I couldn't do the services, I had to do something. So I ran the front desk. And there came a point in 2016, from March to May, I worked 47 days straight from open to close. Our open time was 9 a.m. and our close was 7 p.m. 47 days straight. And I put in the work. And finally, after the 47th day, we realized that our business has grown so much so that it was time to hire somebody. And things slowly started to ease up. And by the time 2017 came around, I could take some vacations and some time. But if I hadn't put in that work in the beginning, if I didn't put in that extra effort in the beginning, I wouldn't have had that in 2017. I might have had to wait to 2019. So it does take a little bit of extra work to do the things properly. But if you're skipping the proper steps, you're only skipping out on yourself. It's not like you're skipping out on a boss. It's not like you're skipping out on somebody else. Like, oh, hey, well, whatever. That. No, you're only affecting your own future. You're only affecting your own bottom line. So a lot of times it is worth that extra effort to put in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. I know I've learned a ton. I think people who are watching this are going to learn a ton, and they've got lifetime access, so they need to watch this over and over again. People who are watching it, as soon as it gets uploaded, I'm actually going to include a little side mini lesson specifically for a gift card strategy, so we can build a little bit different from our lead generation funnels and look at how people can buy your gift cards directly off the ad, especially if you don't have an infrastructure for that. So is there anything else that you feel that our listeners, our viewers should know or learn or understand?
So and this is one of my favorite books that I think that anybody that wants to do anything with experiences, there is some fantastic books by John D.I. Julius. So his whole name is DeJulius. It's called like The Secret Customer Service. Those books are probably some of the best books I've ever read in terms of understanding how to create an award-winning experience. He was a very successful salon owner, and a lot of the stuff that I've read in there, they very, very powerful stuff that you can apply in your own business. It's worth the read, and definitely something that if you want to grow your own business, I would suggest reading.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. So thanks so much for sitting down and taking the time to do this. If anyone wants to reach out to you or learn more about you, what is a good place that they can go or find you?
Yeah, so on Facebook, I have a page called Boost My Spa. They can reach out through me through there, or they can find me directly at my profile, Robert Norberciak. I'm always a message away. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I always love talking business, especially with day spas. I've been in this industry for either selling or running it for over 10 years. So for me, this is my passion.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out and definitely watch this interview again, take some notes and learn from it. Like I always say, if you do not apply anything, then none of it will work for you. So definitely use some of the things you've learned here, and I'll see you guys in the next interview. The Scaling Wellness Podcast is hosted and produced by yours truly, DJ Turner. Administration, guest research, editing, and associate production by Helen C. For highlights and updates, follow us on Instagram at Scaling Wellness. And for more information on how to scale your practice up and get out of the day-to-day, head to www.scalingwellness.com.